said. All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. I spent a little time trying to work on that buzz, and then for some reason I couldn't go live on Rockfin. Problems. Sorry about the crackle. I don't know. Got several things going on, but hello, we're here. Okay, sound is good. Was I getting coffee like you were? Well, coffee was in there somewhere for sure. Coffee is right here. Gene says the sound is good. Don't touch anything. Okay. I won't touch anything. We're live on Rockfin, YouTube, and on Callin. Just letting you know, a good way to support the show is buymeacoffee.com/blackburnnews. Also, Rockfin tips are also very cool. YouTube tips are also accepted. All right, let's get into it because I started a little late and I apologize. From the dreaded Greta Thunberg. Well, I was actually showing more so Scott Andrews' reply to Greta Thunberg, but she says, the world remained firmly in warming's grip last year with extreme summer temperatures in Europe. That was true, and also is true. China and elsewhere contributing to 2022 being the 5th hottest year on record. The 8 warmest years on record have now occurred since 2014. That would be 8 of the last 9. This is a New York Times article. They're not going to let me read this. I'm never subscribing to you, New York Times. I'm sorry. Never going to do it. So, fat chance. Anyways, this is stuff we already know. Steve Andrews replies, I'm here in Portugal. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Nicholas Miller. I appreciate the tip. Thank you so much. Scott says, I am in Portugal. Or I'm sorry, Steve Andrews. I'm sorry. Why? I don't know why I got that wrong. Steve Andrews. Let me get the right Steve or the right Andrews. I'm in Portugal, and the warm weather for this time of year is causing many species of butterflies to be active. This is abnormal for January and clearly a sign of climate crisis. Here's a monarch and a red admiral. Right. Exactly. Things are very weird and very different. And that's a sign of the times. That's a sign that things are changing. I've told you guys, I have ants in January in my kitchen. Or December. Ants are not supposed to be a winter bug, right? Ants come out typically in the summer, right? They're bothersome. They're kind of annoying. They get on your food. They come out and get your stuff. But like, even in Los Angeles, ants go away when it gets cold. That's how I've always known it my entire life. I've always known that the ants just go away in the wintertime, right? It's too cold for ants. Not anymore. And I can only chalk it up to the fact that we are warming just enough. The colds haven't been as cold. You know, the seasonal winter cold isn't as cold as it was. The highs are a little bit higher than they used to be. Just enough for ants to still, get around and do their thing, which they're not supposed to be doing in the wintertime. Not at all. So things are weird. Things are different. Butterflies are out in the winter. In Portugal, that's not supposed to be happening. We know. We already know. There's a long list of weird things that are happening weather-wise. And this just another notch in the belt, I guess. Creative Experiment says flooding disaster being spun is great for the drought. Well, yeah, and people are getting hit hard, right? People are losing their power. People are being flooded out. People are having issues, like serious issues, with the amount of flooding. It is an extreme, it's a lot of water. It is a lot of rain. To the extent that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to just say, "Oh, this always happens," or "Oh, this is so bad." No, it's bad. It's pretty bad. Kameshwari Kate says, in Mill Valley, my father-in-law's house is overrun with ants coming in from the outside. They are marching from patio door to back bedroom. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. I think ants are one of those species that's going to do really well in a warming world. And Mill Valley is north, right? Quite a bit north of here. I would imagine it would be colder in Mill Valley, but maybe not cold enough to keep the ants away. I mean, I don't know. Am I losing my mind? Because I just can never remember ants being out and around and active in the wintertime. They usually just, they go away. They kind of clam up. They hibernate, whatever ants do during the wintertime. But our winters aren't the same winters anymore. All right, let's move on. I'm going to play this. We're taking a left turn here a little bit. This is Joy Reid, and I know Joy Reid is an annoying person, and she's hounding Byron Donalds, who is a Republican, a black Republican congressperson. And she's really trying to make this guy look like he's stupid. He doesn't understand how politics works. He's just, he's an idiot. She's trying to make this guy look like he's an idiot, and he actually makes her look like an idiot. And this is just an interesting conversation. That's why I'm playing this. It's an interesting conversation. Joy Reid is just a mouthpiece for the establishment, right? A liberal mouthpiece for the establishment. And it's not that liberal, right? The establishment is actually more, they're actually right wingers, but they're trying to paint let me see. Kameshwari Kate says, I used to live in Palm Springs and Desert Hot Springs. Every time we had a drop of rain in the winter, ants swarmed a river of ants into the houses. That's interesting. Maybe it's just more of that might be a desert climb, more of a desert climb, like normal for the desert. I just have never, in where I live, I have never experienced ants in the winter. They're just not really like a thing. They kind of just go away. They're definitely not trying to get into the house, right, and sniff out the food. If I see a firefly in LA, it's a wrap. Well, there are no more fireflies on the East Coast either, or in Missouri, or anywhere else. They're going away. Yeah, I saw Katie Porter is running for Senate. I'm not really. Some people think Katie Porter is a big progressive and she's so different. No, I don't know. She doesn't seem that different. She's kind of like, I feel like she's Elizabeth Warren 2.0, which is, say a lot of really, stuff, a lot of cool sound bites. Her grilling, bankers and stuff, you guys we can't have, it's the same as Bernie Sanders. It's the same as all the progressives. Like they have these, they say the nice words. They say the really cool, the fiery words. Well, we'll not take this anymore. And then it's like, and nothing ever happens. So I'm like, Katie Porter, what are you really doing? And I don't really have big hopes for Katie Porter if she does take Dianne Feinstein's seat. I don't really have big hopes for her, but call me jaded. All right, let's watch this. Why is Joy Reid trying to make Byron Donalds, I'm sorry, is it Brian Donalds or Byron Donalds? She's trying to make him, like, she's literally just, she is gaslighting him. She's talking over him. She's doing like the full narcissist. Like what she is doing right now is like the full narcissist. And let's watch. This is an example of a narcissistic conversation.
You were nominated for Speaker.
Yeah.
You've been in Congress one term.
Yes.
What were your qualifications to be Speaker of the House?
Well, look, I think my colleagues, they recognize my leadership, and they've seen it in many leaps and bounds.
Can you
even
give specifics?
in one term. Secondarily, I've served before at the state level, not here at the federal level.
What were your
Third,
specific qualifications to be Speaker?
I actually understand budgets. I understand what the long-term ramifications
What is the job of the Speaker? Hold on a second. We have to have a conversation.
I'm trying.
What is
You're cutting me off
hold on.
so I can-
What is the job of the Speaker?
This is classic narcissism right here, right? When somebody cuts you off and says, "Hold on, we're trying to have a conversation," when you're trying to like make a point, and they cut you off and they don't let you keep talking. This is a, you know, this is a lesson in narcissism. If you know anybody that has, you know, you have conversations like this with, you should probably rethink your relationship with that person, and you should probably, you know, probably think about cutting off your relationship with that person, or at least not engage. You know, if you're engaging in conversations like this with somebody, it's, you know, first of all, stop. He can't help it because he's on a news show, and you know he's got to answer her questions or try to have a he's got to try to have a conversation with her. But if you're, you know, actually having these conversations of your own free volition, I urge you to stop.
Every single member of Congress
Yes, I know.
has served it. Okay, what is the job?
The job of the Speaker of the House, number one, is to actually make sure that the Congress is operating on time. It largely sets the agenda for the conference. For the entire House of Representatives. It actually engages in negotiations with the Senate and the White House on major issues, key issues. The Speaker of the House has security clearances that most members do not have. You're number three, obviously, in the line to the presidency, and there's much, much more. The job is critical.
So he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, right? He sounds like, you know, I got it. I got this, right? I know what's going on. You're trying to make it seem like I don't know what's going on. You're trying to make me look stupid, and you're not going to do it.
The Speaker of the House is also responsible for security
And fundraising, right.
course.
And so you've been there one term, and you're saying that you would be prepared after one term to do the job that Speaker Pelosi and others who were in leadership. You ran for leadership, and you lost that leadership race to the congresswoman who ended up being in leadership, right? So you were not elected to leadership, but you believe that though you've never served in leadership ever, and you've only served one term, that you believe you were qualified because you got into it back and forth with a fellow congresswoman who was critical of the nomination because it definitely looked like they were looking for a response to Hakeem Jeffries.
So she, this is the what even gets crazier about this is she's trying to make it seem like she's trying to say you're just a token black dude. But Democrats know they never have token minority. You know, Democrats they wouldn't do that. Like Democrats would never put somebody forward as like a token minority representative of oppressed people. They would never do that. Oh, and on top of that, like, you know, a black Republican would never. You know, it's just, you know, they're confused. They're what's the other word? I don't know. They're confused. They're brainwashed. They're right, like they're, you know, all kinds of things. You know, you would never choose to be a Republican if you're a black person just all on your own. So it's, you know, that's also another assumption.
No, that was not it.
Because you've literally been there for one term, so you've never been in leadership. I'm asking you the question.
I'm answering.
That's what.
Am I allowed
And
to
the
answer?
reason I'm asking that, I'm just going to ask you this question, is one of the things that, I don't know that you said it, but members have said is that they wanted to highlight the diversity of the conference. There are 4 African American members in the House caucus, the Republican caucus. There are 56 members in the Democratic caucus. So it's more diverse. There are more African American members just that are House committee ranking members. They're at the same number that are actually members of the entire Republican House caucus. So do you not believe that the idea was to make a diversity statement by nominating him?
Well, actually, first, that was not the idea. Because I was in the room when the decision was made by people who chose to nominate me. That never came along.
And you've still not explained how you're Republican. You've never been in leadership.
Are you going to let me answer your question?
Sure,
or you
tell
want to
us.
talk over me? Okay. Number 2, now let's go back. The reality is that a lot of members actually do believe in my ability to lead. They do. Am I to be despised for my youth because I've served 1 term? When members know that I have the ability to engage other members through the conference? But it's even bigger than that. Listen, we were at an impasse last week in our speakership elections. We got that done. Kevin McCarthy is now Speaker of the House. At the same time, I was working with members on both sides of our conference to make sure that we can get the job done, and we did. And that's the only thing that matters.
She tried it. It didn't really work. It didn't go very well for her. But this is why people don't really like Joy Reid, because she's kind of flailing around as an establishment hack, journalist or whatever. But I thought Byron, handled himself quite well, and his responses were pretty sharp, and I don't know. I'm all for people, believing what they believe and being in whatever party they want to be in and voting for whoever they want to vote for, and all that kind of stuff. And somebody made a really good point about, wasn't Obama like a really super green politician, before he ran for president? Like nobody knew who Obama was, or hardly. He was like a 1-term senator. Whatever. So the whole I'm new to this job seems strange. Or what about the squad? The squad is supposed to be fresh-faced, bright-eyed, idealists, people getting in there and making changes, and they don't do any of that. I thought the idea was to have new blood and new ideas and new people. I don't know. Whatever. Just saying. But that was an interesting conversation. I don't know. I just wanted to play that. We're doing all kinds of. We're kind of. Where are we here? Trying to get to. A few things. Well, let's see. Okay, this is a weird story. We're covering weird stuff today. It's not all climate change today. This is a crazy story. This is Bill McGuire posts this, and he says, "Is it just me, or is there something a little disturbing about this? Scientists grew stem cell mini brains, and then the brains sort of developed eyes." That's what the thumbnail is, which is very, very creepy. Did this little mini brain start developing eyes? Mini brains grown in a lab from stem cells spontaneously developed rudimentary eye structures. Scientists reported in a fascinating 2021 paper on tiny human-derived brain organoids grown in dishes. 2 bilaterally symmetrical optic cups were seen to grow. Whoa. Mirroring the development of eye structures in human embryos. Why, science? Why? This incredible result could help us to better understand the process of eye differentiation and development, as well as eye diseases. Okay. It makes me a mini brain. What is a mini brain? I don't know. You could say that sounds like a Sounds like a setup for a joke there. This feels kind of like Blade Runner-ish, right? Where they're growing eyeballs in a beaker of boiling fluid. And, you know, people can just get parts transplanted into there. They're making, you know, bionic humans to go work off world. Our work highlights a remarkable ability of brain organoids. Organoids is such a funny word. To generate primitive sensory structures that are light sensitive and harbor cell types similar to those found in the body, said neuroscientist J. Gopalakrishnan of University Hospital Dusseldorf in Germany. In a 2021 statement, these organoids... Run away, it's an organoid. These organoids can help to study brain-eye interactions during embryo development, model congenital retinal disorders, and generate patient-specific retinal cell types for personalized drug testing and transplantation therapies. I don't know. I mean, do you think maybe is this a good idea? Is this good? Is this a good idea? Are we I don't know. This is an honest question. Is this going to be a helpful technology? Are we going down the right path with this? I'm not totally sure. I'm not necessarily like, you know, patently against it, but this does raise some alarm bells for me. Brain organoids are not true brains, as you might be thinking of them. They are small, three-dimensional structures grown from induced pluripotent stem cells. Cells harvested from adult humans and reverse engineered into stem cells that have the potential to grow into many different types of tissue. In this case, these stem cells are coaxed to grow into blobs of brain tissue, without anything resembling thoughts, emotions, or consciousness. Such mini brains are used for research purposes where using actual living brains would be impossible, or at the very least, ethically tricky. So you know they're doing that too, right? If they say like, well, we don't do that because it's ethically wrong, you know that they're doing it somewhere. In a country where there's not a lot of, you know, oversight, right? Ukraine comes to mind. You know, African countries come to mind too, right? They're probably doing just that when they say stuff like this. Testing drug responses, for example, or observing cell development under certain adverse conditions. Anyways, in previous research, other scientists had used embryonic stem cells to grow optic cups, the structures that develop into almost the entire globe of the eye during embryonic development. And other research had developed optic cup-like structures from induced pluripotent stem cells. I don't know. It's interesting, right? So they're trying to grow these optic cups. Their carefully tended baby brains formed optic cups as early as 30 days into development, with the structures clearly visible at 50 days. This is consistent with the timing of eye development in the human embryo. I'm just wondering, though, if it's a good idea to recreate. Gene says you think it's cool? You know, right. They're probably doing the growing eyes experiment where there are not a lot of eyes. I'm sure, yeah. I'm just wondering if it's good to mess with stuff like this, but you know, right? This seems like you know the kind of science that goes very wrong. But again, that's just me. Or as Oingo Boingo said, weird science. I was going to read something about Utah's Great Salt Lake on the verge of collapse. But I do actually want to show some. I want to kind of do some even weirder stuff. So I'm going to jump off of YouTube. Sorry, YouTubers. I know that was rather quick. But you can watch the rest of the show on Rockfin. I'm going to jump off for the last couple, because I wanted to show a bunch of things and talk about a bunch of things that I feel might be not great, somewhat dangerous ground for YouTube. So let's try. Hold on. I want to make sure that I'm still live on Rockfin. Are you guys okay on Rockfin? Can you hear me and see me? All right. So I'm going to jump off of YouTube, and we'll do we're going to do the last 20 minutes on Rockfin, because I want to show some. I want to get a little weirder. All right, YouTubers, we'll see you tomorrow at noon, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, peace. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Having an issue actually going off of YouTube. Come on now. I don't know if maybe I need to refresh my StreamYard. I don't know if that's a bad idea to refresh my StreamYard. Hold on. It's not letting me sign off of YouTube. Everybody's good on Rockfin? Okay.